Hi guys, good evening and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host Eddie, and in tonight's video I am doing my recap and review for episode 3 of season 5 of Falling Skies. Now before I proceed, I must warn you that this episode will be filled of spoilers, so if you're not caught up on Falling Skies, like I still am, because I still haven't seen the most recent episode, which aired earlier tonight, on TNT episode 4, and I'm just catching up now, so I'll watch the most recent episode tomorrow night and try to do a video on that. But I'm just letting you guys know this will be full of spoilers, and this episode was a doozy, and those of you who have seen it know what I'm talking about. So you have been warned. Do not watch or listen to this video. It contains spoilers. That being said, this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. So what's happening now is that they found a way to use Dingon's invention to take out that massive pit of Skitters and Black Hornets. And they took it out with this little toy, they blew it up, and they think, oh, well, all our problems are over, we smoked their ass, let's go, guys, yay! But then they return, what the? And there's like tons of Skitters and Black Hornets. They have seemingly regrouped, and they're wondering, what the hell? We thought we destroyed all this and made the place infertile. So they surmise that there's probably an overlord nearby who is controlling all of them, which isn't that surprising because overlords are still out there. But what concerns the second mass is that there are these different power surges all over the Vol maps, and it shows that the Ishveni might be attempting to rebuild and reestablish their tech and some of their weapons, trying to get their power back. And the second mass can't let them do that. On the plus side, thanks to the Volm, Tom has sent out a worldwide message summoning all of the remaining human militias to come and join him in the second mass in their fight against the Ishveni. And his message is one of like, without mercy, without mercy, without giving up, being tough and being angry. And he sounds great when he's giving this little video speech that Cochise plays on his recording device. So they send it out throughout the world. The Volm are spreading Tom's message of trying to bring all the militias together. Meanwhile, Maggie is still dealing with the problem of the false promise she made to the girl Caitlin back in the last episode, where she promised this survivor, this girl, that they could cure her skitterized brother, and of course they cannot. And the girl figured that out pretty quick, that it was a lie, and Maggie obviously felt bad about it, and there was really nothing they could do. So, with that being said, what they decide to do is that Tom and Weaver decide they need to come up with a plan to fan out and search for this overlord that is probably knows as to why all of these Skitters and Black Hornets are all amassing. And it's actually Anne who comes up with the theory, and this later turns out to be true, that because the Ishveni can no longer manufacture and build weapons and guns and mechs and mega mechs, they are now creating biological living weapons. In other words, Skitters. They're creating Skitters and Black Hornets. So they need to find out where that source is coming from and destroy it once and for all. So while Weaver sends Pope and Sarah out on a scouting mission to backtrack the trail of Skitters and Black Hornets, because they're all coming from like down a huge line, and they're all entering this bottomless pit. So they're coming from somewhere. So they send Pope and Sarah out. Meanwhile, Hal has snuck off to help Maggie get Caitlin and her skitterized brother back, both of whom escaped the second mass, injuring Anthony in the process, who is really, really going downhill really fast, and it's very disconcerting to see what's going on with them. So, Pope and Sarah are trying to find the source of Skitters, and unfortunately Sarah gets caught in what at first I thought was quicksand, but then going back to season 4, it's that creepy, icky fog stuff that acts like quicksand, and so she gets caught up to it, up in her waist, and she and Pope can't pull her out, so Pope is forced to leave her behind so he can go back to the second mass to get a flamethrower, because the flamethrower is what gets the shit out of can get somebody out of the fog quicksand shit. But they have a little moment together. It's like, It's like, if we ever get out of this, we should have kids together. We should have kids together. We should have kids together. But it was nice to see them bonding. It was kind of cheesy, sentimental, but it was nice to see Pope opening up to somebody and bonding with them instead of him being such a hard ass about it. But he's very comfortable with her. She's his girlfriend, and they obviously love each other very much. And it breaks his heart when he has to leave her to go back to the second mass. Hal and Maggie eventually track down the siblings in the woods, and it turns out that the skitterized brother is a spy for the nearby Ashveni overlord. And Maggie and Hal quickly dispatch the Ashveni overlord. They knock him out. They don't kill him because they need him to figure out where the location of the source for the skitters is coming from. And then unfortunately, both the girl and her brother die. The boy, when he grabs Hal's pistol, or Maggie's pistol, and he accidentally shoots the girl who's standing in front of both of them, telling Brian, "Don't shoot, don't shoot." He accidentally shoots her, and then realizing what he's done, and you can see his human eyes, and he's ugly as hell. Ugly as hell. But, he's still got some humanity in his eyes, and he turns the gun on himself and kills himself, and Caitlin dies in Maggie's arms. Maggie and Hal make it back to the second mass with their prisoner, and Tom is forced to interrogate the Overlord as to where this source for all of the Skitters and Black Hornets are coming from, but the Overlord won't budge. And the only way to make him talk is to torture him. And what's interesting about Tom is that he's not expressing any humanity or mercy with this Overlord. The Overlord even says to him, "Why should I even bother talking? You're planning on torturing me." Tom's like, I'm not going to torture you. I intend to kill you. He's straight up with this son of a bitch. He's like, I'm going to kill you either way, but you're going to tell me what I want to know. And the only way to actually break into the Overlord's mind, Ben isn't strong enough to do it alone, but he and Maggie together, since she has the spikes as well, his original spikes, they hold hands together, and they're both powerful enough to penetrate the thoughts of the Overlord. So as Tom beats him mercilessly, and poor Maggie and Ben are both, they take his hits as well. So Tom can't torture him too much without hurting Ben or Maggie, but they eventually breach his mindset, and they figure out where the source of the Skitters and the Black Hornets are coming from, and fortunately both of them are okay. So when Tom and Weaver assemble a team to go out and blow up the farmhouse where the Skitters and Black Hornets are coming from, according to the information Ben got from the Overlord, Pope shows up in time, explaining that he had to leave Sarah behind because she was caught in the fog, icky stuff. But Tom tells him, no, the mission takes priority. We'll do our mission first, and we'll come back for Sarah. And Pope starts threatening him, I will drag your ass out of this truck and beat you unless we go get Sarah first. He's like, no, we're not getting Sarah first. I promise you we'll get her next. And then Pope's like, no, Mason, no. You know what, really, this episode, it was painful because, spoiler alert, but when Pope does make it back to Sarah, he finds her half-eaten alive by the miniature mechanized black mutant bugs. And there's like hundreds of them all over her lower torso. And in a rage, Pope with the flamethrower blows them all to hell and gets them off of Sarah. And unfortunately, he cooks her legs off. He cooks her legs off, and she's severely weakened, of course, but she was already half dead to begin with. But with her dying breath tells him how, she had lied when she told him back in season 4 when they first met how the apocalypse was the best thing that ever happened to her, and that's not true. Meeting him was the best thing that happened to her. Poor Sarah. And I genuinely felt bad for Pope, because I'm like, oh, damn it, the one thing that is keeping his humanity and his reasoning intact is now taken from him. The one person he genuinely cared about, because he puts up with all the other characters, but Sarah was the one he really liked, the one he really loved, and now she's been taken from him. And this is inadvertently Tom's fault, since he's the one who refused to go rescue her first. Instead of rescuing first, he and the rest of the second mass successfully destroy the farmhouse where they discover that all of the Skitters and Black Hornets are coming from, because they're coming out of these green muck-filled pools that are like these living petri dishes, and Skitters and Black Hornets can just crawl out of them and be alive. So they blow him up, destroy him, and Anthony is going, Anthony is, still struggling after watching Denny die in the last episode or the episode before. And he's going through PTSD, and he freezes on the when they open fire on the escaping aliens, on the escaping Skitters and Black Hornets, and he freezes. And Howland Weaver noticed this, and Anthony's like, "I froze. I'm sorry, I froze." So now that the mission's been completed, they head back to the spot where Pope said Sarah had been caught, but by the time they get there, they all realize they're too late, and they see Pope crying, genuinely crying, cradling a dead Sarah in his arms. And Weaver, Ann, and Tom all look remorseful. They're like, "Oops, I guess we should have done this sooner rather than later." And you know what? And it's really a shame because every single season, Tom and Pope are always at each other's throats, but they still work together for the good of the Second Mass. They may not always get along or see eye to eye, but they always tolerated each other and never full-on killed each other yet. But I'm really concerned now, and of course those of you who have already watched episode 4, you obviously know what happens, and I haven't seen it yet, and I'll watch it tomorrow night. And but I'm really concerned as to where Pope's train of thought is going to be, because that final scene is where the survivors are sitting around the campfire, Ann and Tom are holding hands, and they notice that Pope is just dead on angrily staring at them through the flames with this look of resentment and hatred on his face. Probably not towards Ann as much, but definitely at Tom. Because, Tom was the one who made the decision to not rescue Sarah first, carry out the mission first, and then go back for her. But by making that option, he inadvertently let Sarah die. And of course, Pope is immediately going to pin that on him. Tom's the one who's going to get the, what's the word I'm looking for? Tom's the one who's going to be the subject of Pope's resentment and hatred right now. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see that in the next episode. Pope looked mad as hell, and now he probably feels like he has lost everything that he ever cared about. His kids, the Berserkers, his old gang, his brother, any and all of the characters that he cared about from seasons 1 up till now are now all dead, taken from him. Sarah is dead, the one character he genuinely liked and loved. But, and I'm worried now because I was really looking forward and hoping to see Pope re-solidify his relationship not only with Tom but with other characters of the Second Mass. Finally move on already. Stop being at everybody's throats, Pope. And he's one of my favorite characters, but he can be kind of a dick sometimes. But overall, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed it, and I'm curious to see as to what the Pope's next move is, and I'm also curious to see as to what's next for poor Anthony, because I'm becoming concerned about Anthony, because, they still have the Overlord captive. He's still alive, but then Anthony executes him, kills him execution style, and he sees the Overlord holding one of those burning, scorching rocks from Season 4 that the Ashveni used to communicate with each other, and that's Anthony's reasoning for, shooting the Overlord several times. And then Weaver and Ann show up, and Weaver points out how Andy had no orders to be here, and there was somebody else on guard duty, but Anthony's like, I thought he could use a break, clearly trying to cover his tracks and lie about his intentions really being there. And Anne realizes, yep, he's suffering from PTSD. I should have seen this earlier. I should have known better than this. But, Weaver's like, yeah, we don't know what to do with them. They take his weapons, and Anthony is clearly distraught, very disappointed. He insists that he's all right, but he's not. He's got a couple screws loose up in his head now. And I think, honestly, 4 or 5 years, almost 3 to 4 years, and keep in mind, this is the timeline between seasons 1 through 5 up till now. So this war has been going on at least 3 years, if 4 at the most. I think all these years of fighting aliens who have invaded Earth has finally gotten to him, and Denny's death just made him snap. It's what triggered him to, finally go, So it's sad to see, but hopefully he'll be okay. But I'm definitely curious to see as to what's next for Pope and Tom. What's going to happen between them, and hopefully it won't be as bloody as it most likely will be. But maybe not. Maybe they'll find a way to reconnect with each other, and Pope will redeem himself once again with this second mass. Maybe he'll save somebody else's life or something. I don't know. But great episode. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the 4th episode. As I told you, I will be watching it either later tonight or definitely tomorrow night, and I will try to do a recap video for it as soon as possible. Also, please stay tuned for my episode recaps of the next 2 episodes of the Scream series and the 2nd episode of The Strain as well. Also, stay tuned for my reaction videos regarding the trailers for both Fear the Walking Dead and Suicide Squad. So I'm trying to just play some catch up here, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Phonics, guys, as much as I did. It's very sad that this is the 5th and final season, but I think it's had a good run. Thanks again for watching, you guys, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. And please hit that subscribe button, comment, and share your thoughts and opinions down below. Let's be civil and respectful of one another's opinions and thoughts. And, as always, may the Force be with you.